This podcast is brought to you by Paramount Plus and by the Average Intelligence Podcast.
The Final Frontier Podcast. These are the voyages of Jake Boger and Justin Spur. Our weekly mission: to explore memories of Star Trek's strange new worlds, to recall the search for new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has had the spare time to go before. Welcome, everyone. The Final Frontier has returned, and I saw your comments. I fixed the lighting issue, so this color should be a little bit more apropos. I actually moved, so my lighting issue fixed itself. But I won't turn blue anymore. We've upgraded.
I also read your comments. Yeah, I'm the dumb one. That's the bit. He's the smart one. He explains it to me. I'm the dumb one. I've never seen Star Trek. Stop yelling at me for not knowing Star Trek. Just reminding you for season 2.
It's okay. It's okay. You'll learn. But season 2, we're starting off with a doozy. One of my personal favorite episodes, and we'll dig into how big of a favorite it is for the fandom. But we are talking about Star Trek, the original series, season 2, episode 1, Amok Time. This episode takes place on Stardate 3372.7. The in-universe date is the year 2267 still, and the original air date was September 15th, 1967. This episode is written by Theodore Sturgeon and directed by the very talented Joseph Pevney. So this episode was the air date premiere of season 2, but it was actually 5th in production order. So if you bought the DVD set or certain DVD sets or Blu-ray sets, this episode might be episode 5 for season 2. But Paramount Plus, our good friends at Paramount Plus, they have the episodes listed in air date, which is partially why we're doing it in air date, just for simplicity. And we're trying to recreate that feeling, because it's
That makes
like
sense.
our show is new for you. This show is old.
This is true.
The show is old as hell.
This is true. Speaking about Paramount Plus, we gotta do.
Is it time for the
Plus.
Is it time for the Paramount Plus description brought to you by Paramount Plus?
The first one of the season. Okay, this is
Let it rip.
it. I'm so sorry, editor Jake. There's gonna be some bleeps this episode. I'm very sorry, but here it goes. First note. Oh is this Pon Farr? Is this the thing that episode of Futurama is based on? You know the one where Zoidberg wants to bang. There we go. That's our first dirty joke of the season. Boom, that was fast.
I mean, yeah, that is.
I realized that about midway. It's like, Fry is Captain Kirk.
This episode also marks the first on-screen appearance of Chekov, someone who we have mentioned, but we have yet to see until now. Also, there's many firsts this episode and for the season. This is also the first episode. This is the first episode to list DeForest Kelley in the opening credits as Dr. McCoy.
I have questions about the opening credits because it's been a while since I watched Star Trek last. Is the wailing woman, was she in the last season's theme song?
No, because this is also the first episode that adds the vocal part to the Star Trek TOS theme.
It was so grating. I was like, ow! I had to skip past it. I was like, what is this woman wailing? My Star Trek theme song. I don't like this.
She is a soprano, so it singing soprano, not like soprano. I mean, it's
like the vocal type, not the Italian stereotype.
It's like, you want to tell me something about outer space?
No. That seemed more like a Marlon Brando impression.
That was more Marlon Brando. I can't do Italians.
No, I can't
I
do
can't do Italian. I can do Italians, just not Italian Americans.
it. I mean, anyone could do Italians.
This is true. I actually have a running joke with my wife because for some reason when she's tired, she adopts not it's not like a full blown Italian accent, but it's really similar. So I always give
That's
her grief
funny.
because her speech cadence changes a little bit, and I always make fun of her because I'm like, "Oh, you must be tired."
Wants to be Italian. My parents just went to Italy, and by the end of it, they were like, "We're so done with pasta and pizza." They were at a McDonald's. It was so funny.
I had a similar experience when I was in France. It wasn't the last night we were there, but it was like the second to last night. And they were like, you know what? These poor American kids, they need a break. So we went to the Hard Rock Cafe where everybody spoke English, like, and just good old fat American burgers. Like
I
it
need a
was
cheeseburger and freedom fries.
when I was in Mexico, I had another
That's a joke
experience.
for
Like,
you.
yeah, it was about that time too, 2004. So yeah, I was right in the midst of that. But
Give me some freedom
give me
fries.
some freedom fries and freedom toast with a side of extra freedom. But when I was in Mexico, don't get me wrong, the food was amazing, but it's a lot of meat and potatoes, and I'm a guy, I like vegetables. I'm not gonna lie.
You like the
So
occasional bit of vegetables.
we were out and about, and I saw that there was a Japanese restaurant, and I said, "We need to go eat there now." And they were like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because they serve vegetables." I got a teriyaki vegetable plate, and I was in heaven for like 20 minutes.
That's funny. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you're just like, I just need something that's not the thing. You know?
Very, very much so. But on to many other firsts. This is also the first and only episode of the original series to show the planet Vulcan.
Yeah, yeah. I did note that later on. I was like, hey, is that the first appearance of Vulcan and by extension Vulcans? I have lots of jokes about Vulcans later. Don't
Oh,
you worry.
there's so many jokes. But speaking of Vulcans, this is also the first episode that shows the Vulcan salute, which Leonard Nimoy improvised on set by doing a modified traditional Jewish religious hand gesture, which actually I guess changes, like it's part of a blessing. And yes, I can do that too. There's so many people that can't do this, and it's
No, I know
weird.
that. I have a note on that. I was like, the first appearance of the Live Long and Prosper, and I had put down, yeah, you'd be surprised how many people can't do that.
Well, funny enough, this is also the first episode that mentions live long and prosper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got so many notes. This is definitely the first. This is definitely the first. I'm getting to that point where I
It's
recognize
also
that now.
it's also the first episode of Star Trek to feature any Vulcan characters other than Spock. I have a funny anecdote about this episode, which I could not bring up, and it would be buried forever when no one would know, but I have to.
Dang it,
So
that's what we're here for.
until literally until we started doing this show, in my head, I used to pronounce this episode Amok Time because I know the word amok, but I'd never actually seen it written down.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought Amok was like supposed to be this weird Vulcan thing, which is odd because it's never come up. And then when I realized, because I was going through the episode list and figuring out what was where, and I went, "Oh God, it's Amok Time." Oh, so stupid.
That's funny.
But it also doesn't make
Sometimes,
sense. Like I
uh,
guess this is
no.
it's a time that is amok, but
I mean,
it's kind of
it
a
is
weird.
off, it is off kilter for, so it is time right. Yeah, I mean, I see it, but also, yeah, it does also, I see your point, but also, yeah, I also see it at the same time.
It's stupid, but it's not that stupid.
No,
Like
no, there's so many more stupid things in this episode.
there
Oh,
are,
there's some
our
gloriously stupid things.
but our story begins, of course. Spock begins to exhibit unusual, moody behavior and requests leave on his home planet Vulcan. En route, Kirk receives orders from Starfleet to represent the Federation at the inauguration ceremony of Altair Six's new president. Though Kirk sets course for Altair 6, Spock secretly changes course back to Vulcan. Spock claims no memory of ordering the course change. Ooh, Spock's
Ooh.
in trouble.
Yeah, that's my favorite moment when Kirk walks in like, Mr. Spock.
It is one step away from like
Yeah, yeah, with his hands on his hips, like Mr.
ironically one step
Spock.
ironically one step
Finger
away
waggle.
and ironically one step away from Spock's reaction to crew members dying on his watch. Just
So okay, it's so funny that you said Spock goes through puberty. It's
well, I mean,
because I've got so many puberty-based jokes. Okay, I mean, number one, uncharacteristically violent of Spock said, sometimes a man needs alone time. You know the reasons. You know, all the teenagers in the audience get it. They get it. Dad, Captain, I need some alone time.
I mean, he does kind of say that.
I just,
It's like
I just need
if I wanted to do anything for a man, ask.
right. But my favorite bit, yeah, is Kirk is Spock trying to explain to Kirk what's going on, and Kirk just be like, "Details, man, details. I need to know what's going on here."
I mean,
Um,
to be fair, wouldn't you?
yeah. Also, Vulcan society oddly conservative seeming because Spock is like, it is improper for a lady to bring a man that is not her husband food. I'm like, oh, that's quite a conservative thing of you to say, Spock.
1967.
Yeah, true. But I mean, this is I would say, in my opinion, fairly liberal society. Otherwise,
But let's examine this logically because it is Spock we're talking about here.
of
I
course.
mean, let's be real. What would the intention be of a woman bringing a man food? In most instances, I understand that sometimes people do just want to do something nice, but
Well, in this instance,
we know Nurse Chapel has a thing for our favorite elf-eared
okay, so
sex symbol.
I did have that question because again, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. She did have a thing for Spock, right? Like
Oh,
openly has a thing for Spock.
well, I don't know about openly, but I mean everyone knows. That's why
At this
Dr.
point, it's pretty
McCoy kind of,
open.
yeah, Dr. McCoy kind of makes fun of her.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because yeah, just the way she was this episode was like, was this a thing last season? I couldn't remember.
They had hinted at it, but they really hammer into it in season two.
They,
It's
they,
a thing. After Nurse Chapel discovers that her long lost husband built a sex robot, she was free to pursue.
right, right, right. I forgot about that. Let's see. I mentioned the theme song drove me crazy. Spock is acting oddly stabby. Um,
Okay, I had that in my notes initially, and then I got rid of it because I'm like, maybe I'm reading too much into it. But he's constantly holding that stylus as like a knife.
okay, so it wasn't a knife. I thought it was like a small
No,
pen knife or
it's
like
it's
a.
it's a stylus for their pads that they.
Oh yeah, I see. I thought it was a knife. I thought full bore he was gonna stab Kirk.
I did it first, but then I realized what it was, and I'm like, okay, I feel like this is Leonard Nimoy acting too much here. I shouldn't say acting too
Um,
much. Acting subtly in a way that many people will not pick up on, but I it was effective because you get I took the body language as he's holding back a violent impulse, and that is a visual cue showing just that.
so okay, so then that makes my next note regarding this kind of make not make much sense, but when Kirk is like, "Well, Spock, it looks like we're not going to be able to go to Vulcan until after we do this thing." Spock is like, "That's fine. I just said that he took that rather well, considering 5 minutes ago he's willing to cut a dude over it. But all right, I know this isn't important, but do Spock's shoes have heels on them?"
They all have heels
Uh,
on them.
I don't know if this is just the first time I noticed it, but it was just like it looks like he's wearing raised heels.
I believe
Um,
that their boots always had heels, but maybe they raised them. Although I don't know. I feel like they're the
Spock's
same.
look. I noticed Spock's. I didn't. Kirk didn't look like his shoes were. He had heels on his shoes. Like he looked like he had flat soles. But then I'm also like, why am I overthinking the shoes?
Well,
Um,
boots generally speaking do have at least a slight heel, so r- I would err on the side of caution that they were probably the same boots, except when Captain Kirk is rock climbing, because those are different shoes. We went over that in season one.
yeah. Cause
See the
like,
Gorn episode, Gorn Star.
and then just I got real excited that Chekov was there. He really adds something. His the back and forth between him and Sulu was like, oh, the Star Trek sitcom is back, baby. It's back. It's all the way back.
How do you figure it, Chekov? First we're going to Vulcan, then we're going to Altair, then we're headed to Vulcan again, and now we're headed back to Altair.
I think I'm going to get spacesick.
They were getting some real one-liners in there. It's like, well, I guess we're going back to Vulcan. Womp,
It's like
womp, womp.
Lieutenant, get me Admiral Comac at Starfleet Command Sector 9. Pipe it down to McCoy's office.
Starfleet Command, yes, sir.
Mr. Sulu, you don't think...
Maybe you ought to plot a course back for Vulcan, just in case.
I love their back and forth. It's really good. Like he definitely, yeah, like the guys they had coming in and out were so nothing. He immediately brings something. I understand definitely why he sticks around. Like I was really happy to see him. I
Well,
got excited. I'm like, it's Chekov.
Chekhov's character was not in one of the few instances. His character was done very deliberately, and he was going to be a main cast member very, very purposefully. This is not a case of
You could tell.
they brought an actor on as a guest, which is more common now, but less common then. This was not a case of him being brought on as a guest role and them liking him so much.
Yeah, no, you
His
could tell.
character was planned from the beginning.
He's you could tell he's written or he's designed to be a foil to Sulu, to give Sulu someone to go back. And you could tell in the previous season there's a lot of he's got guys like that and he just is not jiving with them. Like they clearly felt we need someone to round out the bridge. And it is
Well,
apparent, but it's
funnily,
noticeable and it works.
funnily enough, this is in my notes later, but I'll bring it up now. Initially, there was some animosity towards George Takei and Walter Koenig because Walter Koenig. So this goes back to the production order thing. So this episode aired first, but it was actually shot fifth. George Takei was wrapping up
Right.
another series, so Chekhov's character was partially created to cover for Sulu's absences. You'll see in some subsequent episode, it's usually one or the other. There's very few
Is that
episodes
why
where they're.
is that why he keeps piecing in and out in the last season? Because he was doing another show at the same time?
I don't believe so, but that might be the case. I do know that for the beginning of season two, he was finishing up another. I wish I could remember what it was called now, but he was finishing something up.
Interesting.
So George Takei initially felt like Walter Koenig was like just trying to steal his thunder, and he later realized he was like it was not his fault. Like so, and they ended up being very close after that
I didn't
initial.
I didn't have this written down, but I just thought of this. We're 1969. We're peak Cold War, baby. The fact that he's Russian, was that a
Intentional.
thing? Intentional,
Intentional.
but was that like, did that impact people's, what's the word I'm looking for? How they reacted to the character? Like, did that impact that all culturally at the time, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure because it was done very intentionally. Now the thing of it is you have to remember, and this was basically Gene Roddenberry saying that, look, in the future, all this will be over. So I understand there's real tension now, but Star Trek's all about a hopeful future, and that was a very
Yeah.
deliberate choice. Saying like, and funnily enough, it's been quasi accurate because the United States and Russia historically, not so much right now at this very moment, but Russia and the United States cooperated extensively in space programs for decades.
This is
I mean,
true.
the
This is
the
true.
International Space Station is, maintained largely, not exclusively, but largely by,
Yeah.
Russia and the United States. So,
Yeah, like we reference Big Bang Theory quite often here, but there's a whole bit in that show where Howard goes to space and they're all Russian. That is
yeah,
true.
because for a while there, the only way to get into orbit was to go through Russia because NASA wasn't doing space flights for a number of years and blah 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 this that, and the other. And there's a reason why in Armageddon, the guy in the Russian space station,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
why
it's
he's
true.
Russian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm surprised.
they did a movie. What did they call it? They did a movie where the concept was American astronauts go up to the International Space Station. There's a Russian crew already there, and then while they're up there, there's like a nuclear strike between the two, and so now they're up there trapped with each other. And
Oh, well, I mean, there's no, that sounds familiar, but I mean, that sounds an awful lot like the Cloverfield paradox, but that's a different thing.
now it's a relatively new movie, like within the last 5-ish years. When Kirk informs Spock, rather, that the Enterprise has to divert to Altair, he quotes one of Finagle's laws, quote, "Any home port the ship makes will be somebody else's, not mine." This is actually an homage to science fiction author John W. Campbell. He coined the
Hmm.
adage he called Finagle's Law and mentioned it often in his editorials for Astounding Science Fiction magazine. Amok Time author Theodore Sturgeon had previously worked for Campbell, but kind of in a more general sense, Finagle's Law is just a more pessimistic version of Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law, as you may or may not be aware, is just anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but Finagle's Law adds at the end at the worst possible time.
Oh, interesting. I mean,
So
I know everyone.
it's just a more pessimistic Murphy's Law. So if you think Murphy's
You know the amount of people who don't know what Murphy's Law is? There's times where I'm like, oh, friggin' Murphy. And like, who's Murphy? I'm like, his law. I hate his law. I have to explain what Murphy's Law is. Anything that will happen is gonna happen, will happen.
Yeah, it happens often. Kirk orders Spock to sickbay, where McCoy finds evidence of physical and emotional stress, which will kill him within 8 days if not treated. For those of you wondering, an Aldebaran shellmouth is a slow-moving mollusk that exists in great numbers in saltwater shallows of the planet Aldebaran 3, where it is considered a delicacy and served at numerous restaurants on the coast. But it is well known for keeping its
trap shut. So okay, so we're at the part where Spock is explaining the concept of Pon Farr to Kirk.
That is exactly and the story where we are at, because Spock explains that he is undergoing Pon Farr, a condition male Vulcans experience periodically throughout their adult life, that he must mate or die. So, not to be that guy, but to correct your earlier statement, it's less puberty and more heat.
You said puberty.
No, I thought you said Spock was going through puberty.
No, you said that before we get to the episode where Spock goes through puberty. Puberty.
Fine. Well, to be that guy, it's actually more heat than puberty. So, biologically speaking,
I just tapped off. I just yes-anded you, but hey, it did. So okay, so just several notes of just me being like, Spock clearly wants to bang.
Seems like he wants to fight more, but yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the joke of me saying that we won't. In what context you've seen the joke of me saying that there will be less jokes about bodily fluids, but I had a note here because I had to pause the episode and be like, I need you all to understand, when I wrote the joke, came up with the joke about bodily fluids, I had no idea that this was about Spock definitely wanting to bang. And then I was really excited that it was Pon Farr. I was like, oh, it's Pon Farr. I know this. This is a thing I know. And yeah, Kirk, he's like, the way he's listening, he's like just a little too like into it. He's like a little too into it. And then when he's like, Spock, I don't know what you said, and he storms off. And I said, I believe what he said, Captain, was that he wants to find a nice Vulcan girl and plant his seed after he plows the field, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
In my notes, I have Spock gives Kirk the talk, and Shatner plays this moment perfectly, because he's the perfect amount of, like, he's mature enough to hear it, but he's also still kind of beating around the bush.
Yeah, it's like he's like
just like Spock wants to. Hey-o.
Yeah. No, to put it really gross and bluntly, because that's what I do on this show. Kirk is mature enough to be able to have this conversation like an adult, but is off-put by the fact that he has to have a conversation about his coworker wanting to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Even though
that was actually more PG than I was expecting it to be.
Even though he and Bones have had no trouble in the past sort of inferring, like there's that really awkward moment at the beginning of the Gorn episode where they're like, it seems like they're talking in metaphors, but they may not be. It's a really weird, like, I believe he's got his personal chef with him. It's like, are we talking about food?
I guess this is a good juncture to ask all my questions about Pon Farr. So is Pon Farr, because my only point of reference for my knowledge about the Pon Farr itself is that episode of Futurama I referenced earlier. That seemed to imply that this was a yearly thing. So is it just like
it's not annually?
Okay. So is it because it kind of also reminded me of that episode of Orville where Boris goes to take a shit. That's also what it kind of reminded me of. So is it just like a once in your life you experience Pon Farr when you hit a certain age kind of dealio?
So,
or is it like
in some ways, because the movie The Search for Spock sort of, the concept of Pon Farr contradicts itself a few times. As of right now, it seems to be something that happens periodically, and it's probably due, now that I think of it, it's probably due to Spock's rapid aging on the Genesis planet in the movie The Search for Spock. Spock briefly goes through Pon Farr on that when he's rapidly aging, but
so it is a thing that he could go through again.
Yes. This is something that this is something that could happen. However, it's the implication.
What triggers it?
Much like human biology, it's going to vary from person to person. At least that's my understanding. But from my understanding, how it fits into Vulcan society, because Vulcans have.
Oh no, I have many a question about the process of Pon Farr that we're going to get to later. Don't you even worry about that.
So Vulcans are their society is built on logic, but even they will concede that they are biological life forms and there are things that are still evolutionarily sticking around. So they have come up with ways
Don't plow
to
that field.
mitigate and or control them. But Pon Farr is one of those where the implication seems to be that you might go through it once that would be ostensibly puberty, but the search for the search for Spock tells us that it can be controlled via mind melding techniques. However, this episode would indicate that it's something that should happen at or around the time of marriage, and then once that happens and the field is plowed, that if it crops up again, it's kind of like it's
Yes.
kind of like heat, and
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
but at that point you would be married, and Vulcan women experience Pon Farr too. Except this episode said males do, but there's an episode of Star Trek Enterprise where T'Pol goes through Pon Farr. So, as time goes by, women get more equality. In this era of the Federation, the concept of female Vulcan Pon Farr was a myth, but we later learned that it is actually a thing that can happen
Hey, look,
physiologically.
sometimes the male Vulcans have trouble locating the female Vulcan Pon Farr. It happens. No judgment. They just need a little direction to find it, you know? God, here I am once again taking things too far.
No,
Jordan always says I think too.
I'm
Jordan always says I
very
take things too far.
I'm very glad you picked up what I put down.
I'm always picking up what people are putting down when it comes to dirty jokes.
But for now, it is the 1960s, so female Pon Farr is still a myth. But in the
They
scene,
very
it's
much Pon Farred in the dark back then, you know?
well, and to be fair, on Vulcan TV shows, Pon Farr was treated as something that didn't really happen because they had in Vulcan sitcoms in their bedrooms, they had two
They
separate beds.
two separate beds. Yeah, it was implied that it was something that happened on special occasions, like your birthday.
Or,
But
Pon
that's
Farr.
the other kind of Pon Farr. That's the other kind of Pon Farr. Sorry,
Yeah, that's the one-sided Pon Farr, as it were.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, a fun fact. Back to serious now. In that scene though, in Spock's quarters, there's that statue thing behind Spock
Oh,
that
okay,
was like
okay,
lighting
okay,
up.
okay, okay, okay. So where they're talking about Pon Farr, that's Spock's quarters?
Yes,
Okay, okay,
and you
okay.
see it. You see it again when Chapel comes back and Spock's sleeping, air quotes, but
That's
then
the
wakes
that's
up.
the one that's the one with all the skeleton skulls on the background, right?
Yes, the
Okay,
Anubis-like
okay.
being that DC Fontana called Shariel is the
DC
Vulcan.
Fontana, that was the one.
That's who it is. Uh, DC Fontana, named Shariel, is the Vulcan god of death.
Oh,
Which seems interesting to me
okay.
because you would think that the Vulcans would no longer even recognize their pantheon outside of a historical context, but then why would Spock have a statue? I mean, maybe okay, real talk. I have I have an odd fascination with the Egyptian god Anubis, but I don't have a statue of, not to say that I wouldn't, but
I mean,
I wouldn't
okay.
treat it as like an actual deity. I would just be like, hey, this thing's kind of cool.
I thought the skeletons, because I have trouble differentiating specific locations on that ship. So I thought the skeletons was like the Spock's that was his like this is for medical things. So like I have a very specific reference that I'm hoping you're gonna get from a very particular moment in the scene where Kirk is told, or where Kirk is like, we're gonna go to Vulcan anyway. But there's a moment where there's a skull immediately above Kirk's shoulder. And I had a note that says, I know Kirk is making some important speech, but I can't unnotice the shelf of skeletons behind Kirk, particularly the one just above his shoulder that looks like Melvin the superhero. I said, that joke only works if you're a fan of Jeff Dunham. Ta 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 ta.
Well,
It,
and
it
that
had it
that
had
room
kind of an
was
offensive looking nose. That's all I'm
yeah,
gonna say.
that room was actually sick bay, but
Oh, okay, that was sick bay. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, two different two different scenes. But Kirk sets a course for Vulcan, believing that Spock's life is more important than his career. Not the first, not the only time Kirk will do this. This is the first time we see it, but this is not the first time we've seen it. The Galileo 7, Kirk puts his career on the line to save
This
Spock.
is
So no,
true. Yeah, he's being highly emotional, thumbing his nose at the system.
not the first, not the last time. But guess what now? It's time to tell you about the first sponsor of this podcast today, our friends that make the show possible, quite literally, our friends at Paramount Plus.
It's
And
true.
Justin,
I do
how
watch this show on
awesome.
Paramount Plus.
How awesome is Paramount Plus?
The thing is, it's got so much great content. Like I say, I watched this show on it, and I personally love how it attaches to other streaming services, so I can watch it in all of my content in one handy dandy location. I don't have to go to different services. I can all watch it in one spot. It's
And
very convenient.
this is now not the only streaming services does this, but this was the first one that I saw where you can opt into the annual subscription plan, and I believe you save about 20% by doing so. So it's like $50 a year, but even if you opt for the monthly, it's the cheapest streaming service I have, and I certainly get the most bang for my buck with Paramount Plus because I often make the joke like, yeah, sometimes I'll cancel Max or Disney Plus or some of those other streaming services that we don't talk about. I won't cancel Paramount Plus. There's too much bang for my buck because you get all of Star Trek, everything Star Trek that has ever been made or ever will be made, as long as Paramount is producing Star Trek, which, let's be
It's true.
real,
It's true.
it's going to be forever. You also get all of South Park, which I've been digging into. Now you literally get all of South Park because now South Park is on
It's true.
Paramount Plus. So it's not just the specials anymore; it's the movie, the series, all of it. All of it is on Paramount Plus, where it belongs.
It's true. Yeah, where it should have been in the first place. One
Well,
might say.
Matt and Trey made a questionable deal.
A boo boo.
Well, it worked out for them because Paramount gave them $1.5 billion. And hey, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying.
Sure. You can watch all the new episodes that are coming out bi-weekly on
Yeah, bi-weekly now.
on
Hey, I get it. I'm not hating on them. I'm
no,
just
not
saying
hating.
that now our production schedule exceeds South Park because we do produce. I guess we don't technically produce episodes weekly, but I'll take
I
the
mean,
W.
we do on other shows.
This is
Technically
true.
produce an
This
episode
is
in six
true.
days.
But you also get more obscure content. Speaking of South Park, you get the documentary of Matt and Trey buying and renovating and reopening the restaurant Casa
Ooh,
Bonita.
is that on Paramount Plus? That's good to know. Oh, I
It
meant to
sure
watch it
is.
for my documentary episode. Ah, I'm so dumb.
Sure is. It sure is. But
That's good to know.
in addition to all this, you get all kinds of great shows. Like the Yellowstone universe is on there, except for Yellowstone itself, because it's oddly licensed to Peacock for right now, but it'll eventually come back. But
Weird.
1823, 1923 are on there. Tons of great shows that I have not even begun to watch because there's so much. There's actually one I want to watch, but I don't know when I'll have the time. I really want to watch this Lioness show
Oh
because
yeah, never
I
heard of
I
it.
keep seeing clips and I'm like, this looks awesome, but I got Star Trek to watch. But I can watch all of it on Paramount Plus for the low monthly price. And here's the kicker, everybody. If you do sign up to Paramount Plus, I have a favor to ask you. Please, because I know YouTube, well, YouTube's being YouTube, but over there's this advertisement that's real nice and flashy that says, try Paramount Plus today to watch Star Trek. I need y'all to click our link in the description because that tells Paramount
Down
Plus that
there.
we sent you there. It costs you the same. It's the same link, but it lets them know that we sent you. So if you want to support the show, sign up for Paramount Plus using that link, and we would be eternally grateful. And we will not hunt you down and challenge you with the Khalifi.
I would prefer not to do that.
Yeah, we're just not going to do that. But anyway, back to Star Trek. On Vulcan, Spock invites Kirk and McCoy to accompany him to the ceremony. This is the first episode where the indication that the Enterprise turbo lifts move horizontally as well as vertically, if you watch the lights as they move.
Ah, interesting. I did not notice that.
I did, but I also knew that because it has to in order to get anywhere on the ship because it's not a vertical
True.
ship. It in order to get anywhere you would have to. T'Pring, Spock's betrothed, arrives with Stan, a pure blood Vulcan whom she prefers to Spock. T'Pau, a renowned matriarch, begins the ceremony.
Leading up to this, there's another scene with Nurse Chapel, that I said you could cut the sexual tension with a knife. Spock was practically flirting with her.
Your face is wet.
How often does this whole procedure happen? I'm guessing divorce isn't a thing on Vulcan, although not to jump ahead, but she does have to use the word divorce later. I love the set design. I don't know if the for lack of a better word, place where they did the Pon Farr, the actual design of it was kind of neat. I was like, so is it like a you enter from both sides kind of deal, or do you like enter from one side and then exit from the other side? Like how does the how's the mechanics of how people enter and exit? And then yeah, you already mentioned this first appearance of the Vulcans.
Lots of Vulcans.
Lots of
Um,
Vulcans.
Originally, when conceiving of the character T'Pol for Star Trek Enterprise, showrunners initially wanted her to be a younger version of T'Pau, which would have been a nod to her appearance in this episode. The producers created T'Pol, however, to avoid having to pay fees to Theodore Sturgeon's estate and to make the name easier to say and use. T'Pau eventually does appear in a later season of Enterprise as a guest character.
Huh, interesting.
That would have been really interesting. It also would have retroactively made this make a little bit more sense how T'Pau is a little bit more considerate of the humans because
Yeah.
T'Pol serves with humans for starting when that the bulk of her career from then afterward is actually spent serving with humans. So that would have made a little bit more sense. Another fun fact: the British pop group T'Pau took their name from the Vulcan matriarch in this episode. So
Oh,
another band influenced by
interesting.
Star Trek.
Yeah,
Uh,
she really reminded me of oh man, always to the Orville, but the lady who likes Dolly Parton, the Mocklin, the Lady Mocklin.
oh yeah. Celia Lovsky, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who plays T'Pau, was unable to make the Vulcan salute with her hand by herself. So the crew taped her fingers together in the appropriate places and placed her hand flat on the armrest of the chair she was sitting in, so that she simply had to raise her hand to
That's
perform.
funny. Yeah, not many people can do that. It's really like it
It
doesn't seem
makes
like an
sense.
impressive skill.
What would you do though? Because that's originally, as far as I understand, it's a Jewish hand gesture. What would you do if you're a rabbi and you can't do? Would you just tape your
I
hands
don't
before?
know. I
Would you just
guess,
tape your
yeah.
hands before temple?
Yeah. Yeah,
That would be
or wrap
terrible.
them. That would be
I
terrible.
guess. Yeah.
Questions about this wife. When Spock's like, this is such. I'm bad with names. What was her name again? The
To
wife?
pring. To pring.
T'Pring. They all sound very vaguely to something, but
There's a
uh
lot of Vulcan names are to something. It's
to
to something.
something. It's interesting. So yeah, when Spock's like, "This is my wife," Kirk is like, "I'm sorry, you're what now?"
Well, yeah, I mean
Um,
everybody is because like and wife is a strong word. I think
wife.
fiance would have been a little bit more appropriate because
I think it's
technically,
probably wife in more the first century. It's more of a contract kind of wife, not
yeah,
like a
yeah.
21st century
Well, because
love kind of wife.
they were going for a wedding, like so technically they're not married, they're betrothed. But
True.
I guess in a
Um,
way, like because it is implied that the challenge is extremely rare. It's her
so
right,
then
but it's not a common occurrence.
I have a bunch of questions about this procession. Did they know he was coming? Like I maybe missed
Yes,
it. Like did they? It did. So when he rang the gong and they all entered, like were they just all waiting? Okay, he's gonna ring it any moment.
probably because
Any moment.
this does seem to be really steeped in ceremony.
That was my thing. I had a note about that later where I was like, it's really theatrical for a group of people who are so stodgy. It seems very theatrical. Okay, so yeah,
I would simply point to the logic of ceremony. There is a case to be made for the importance of ceremony, and even though it may seem trivial as a culture, ceremony can be very, very important, whether you actually believe
true,
in the thing or not, culturally speaking. There's a reason why atheists get married in churches,
true,
like, you
true.
know,
That's a fair point. But okay, so I just again bunch of notes on the procession. So you have to bear with me.
go
Uh,
for it.
is this racist? It feels racist. It's giving brown face or Asian face a little bit.
In this case, I would actually say no. I don't
Oh,
I
interesting.
think so. I think it is just giving like atypical to typical Western practices, although it does kind of have, oh, how do I say this? I don't know. It seems to me at least, it seems more alien than other ethnic group.
Interesting. Interesting. I wasn't sure. I wasn't committed to it. That's why I went. Is it? That's why I was. My first thought was, is this? It's given it, but I could be convinced it's not. I went back multiple times to the guy with the weird black masks. I just had a series of initial questions of what is his job? What is he carrying? Is it a fan? Is it a blade? Why wear the mask? I was fascinated.
It's actually a gardening
Uh,
tool.
is it actually a cartoon? That's
It's I didn't have this in my notes, but I thought while I was watching the episode, I'm like, That's a very like. Why would you ruin a perfectly good spear
That's so
by
fun.
taking away the point? Like I know you can still stab him with it, but it's as Shad once said from Shadiversity on YouTube. It's like, why would you ruin perfectly good stick?
That's funny. And then they come back multiple times with spare a thought for the bell guys. Like they had to rehearse that, right? They had to be like ding 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 ding. Like they got together, worked out their whole like what they were gonna do. They got together. They got real like they went home, said to their spouses, "We're the bell guys." Like they were excited about that. Like they
Hey,
were
they were on screen a lot.
invested. They were on screen a lot. Okay, the whole procedure reminded me of that episode of South Park with the Canadian royal wedding.
Canadian prince now dipping his arms into the pudding, as is tradition. Princess will of course scrape the pudding off the princess's arms, thus symbolizing their union. What a glorious day for our country and indeed the world.
And then Spock drops the green axe onto the ground, as is the tradition. What a glorious day for Vulcan, and therefore the universe.
And the groom slices his best friend across the chest with a sharp object, as is tradition.
As is tradition. What a glorious day for Vulcan, and therefore the universe. And then yeah, I guess I must have missed the point where she said she was into the other guy. Just to note if she really wants to bang that other guy. And then when she describes what this is,
technically she can until she's married.
this is true.
Because it's implied that they're a thing, you know.
And then to the initial opening speech of the Pon Farr, she described the matriarch is she says property. How and I just said old fashioned doesn't feel like the right word for that. Sexist didn't quite 1967. And then when she was like, I want it to be Kirk, I just wrote all the ladies want Kirk. So I'm sorry, we're just gonna skip over the fact that she said property. She said property. No one's addressing the fact that she said property.
1967.
1967, and just a commentary on their speech patterns. The Vulcans like Shakespeare.
He names these outworlders friends. How does he pledge their behavior?
I would say if I didn't know him, I would. So actually, I think that has to do with the actress herself being not Russian, Austrian.
Oh, interesting.
And trying to give the script probably also called for a little bit more of an air of sophistication because she's saying like the and the a lot.
And thou.
Yeah. But to the Shakespeare question, if I didn't know any better, I would say the Vulcans wouldn't know Shakespeare, but it's well documented that the Klingons are big fans of Shakespeare, and
Really?
so much so that they claim that it's originally Klingon.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So, but as we know, probably because it was in public domain, Star Trek's big on Shakespeare. They like the Shakespeare.
The rest of this is about when the actual fight is about the actual fight. So I assume we'll get there next.
We will get there. But for you eagle-eyed fans out there, you may have noticed that Romulan helmets are reused from the episode Balance of Terror. This time worn by Vulcans during the Pon Farr ritual. In both instances, though, the helmets were a de facto economy measure, as they made anyone who wore them did not have to be outfitted with prosthetic ears.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. That's a good point.
Lawrence Montaigne, I believe is how you say his name, who played Stonn, previously appeared as the Romulan Decius in the episode Balance of Terror, but you may not recognize him because I believe he was wearing a helmet in that episode. So you may recognize his face, but he had a speaking role in that episode. But back to our story, we're getting to the fight. T'Pring demands the Khalifi, a physical challenge between Spock and a champion she selects. Unexpectedly, she chooses Kirk. Spock begs T'Pau to forbid it, but T'Pau leaves the decision to Kirk. Another champion will be selected if he refuses, but since he is not Vulcan, he is not bound by their laws to accept. Kirk accepts the challenge anyway, only to learn that it is to the death. First thing, though, all those Dutch angles.
I mean, my favorite was the push in zoom of Kirk being like, "Ruh-oh, Shaggy."
Well, and so this is where, like, and it's because we live in today where,
yes,
as much as I complain about television and movies of today, there is generally speaking more logic in there because, like, I don't know, man, that to the death part seems like a really, really important detail that you probably should have led with. And
yeah, absolutely.
And being that we're talking about Vulcans here, because that's like, yeah, Klingons would let that fly for sure.
Oh
But
yeah.
but
Okay. Well, okay.
since we're talking about Vulcans, though, both logic and contract law would dictate that want of understanding would automatically nullify any vow or
Yeah.
promise
She's like,
or
this is a
agreement.
perfectly legal fight. Like, what? No, that doesn't seem true at all.
Well, and he has a very similar reaction. He was like, "Excuse me, what do you mean to the death?" And at that point,
Right.
he should have just been able to be like, "All right, I'm out." But Bones saves the day. But we'll get there.
That I did have a note about that where Kirk is like, yeah, I can knock him out, and we'll solve the problem. And I just thought it was like Kirk or McCoy and Kirk pretending that Kirk can knock out Spock is adorable.
It is. It's very cute.
And then just the vibe. It wasn't even that they said it was gonna be a fight to the death. The vibe that it was gonna be was that it was gonna be a fight. Like every one of the vibes of that situation, I would have gone. If I were McCoy, I would be like, dude, I'm pretty sure they want you to fight to the death. That's the vibe I'm getting here. This is giving me a fight to the death vibe. Did you see? There's bell guys. Like there's bell guys here. There's some theatrics here. Like
Have you
they
not
weren't gonna like
seen-
shake hands and walk away.
Have you not seen the 1995 Mortal Kombat?
I'm just saying, like, this is giving very 1985 Mortal Kombat vibes. I know you guys haven't seen that movie yet because neither that video game nor that movie exists yet. But just trust me when I say your kids are gonna love it.
Although that fight song would have been very appropriate in certain parts of that movie. We'll get there. Kirk is challenged by Spock's strength and agility, as well as the thinner atmosphere on Vulcan. As I just mentioned, this is the first use of the iconic Star Trek fight song, which will be used as a standard combat music cue throughout the rest of this season and the series, for that matter, as well as being parodied several times in film and television, not limited to the medieval times scene in the movie The Cable Guy.
Daddy can play rough!
This is like when Spock had to fight Kirk on Star Trek. Best friends forced to do battle.
Kip, this isn't funny. Will you stop it?
The name is Spock. If we don't battle to the death, they will kill us both.
This isn't Star Trek.
Goodbye, Jim.
Goodbye!
Futurama.
Please rise for the national anthem.
Uh-oh.
Let Klaubloch begin!
Family Guy.
You two, fight to the death.
And I believe The Big Bang Theory uses it once, maybe, but they reference Pon Farr.
Ooh, more details about the new Star Trek film. There's going to be a scene depicting Spock's birth.
I'd be more interested in the scene depicting Spock's conception. Oh, please. For Vulcans, mating, or if you will, Pon Farr, it's an extremely private matter.
Yeah, they definitely reference Pon Farr. The moment I forgot to mention the moment when she was like, "Oh, it's a fight to the death." It made me think of Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man being like, "I didn't agree to a cage match."
Spock should have totally been like, "You're going nowhere, yeah."
I got you for 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes.
You for 3 minutes.
Time.
Actually, I would have paid damn good money to see Macho Man Randy Savage as a Vulcan movie. So what? Oh yeah.
I mean, you say Vulcan, a Klingon.
Klingon
Randy
would have been
Savage.
better, but Vulcan would have been funnier.
Okay, I'm gonna reuse a joke I used in a private chat, but I mean, how would you say step into a Slim Jim in Klingon?
I don't know. I know, but it would have been.
He totally would have been on Vulcan. I'm just saying, it would have been an amazing Vulcan. It's okay. So I didn't. The thing is, the guy that Spock's wife wants to bang. I kind of faded on him, so I didn't realize he was a thing. So it just kept cutting to him when Spock and Kirk were fighting, and he made me laugh because every time it cut to him, he just looked like he was suspicious of everything at all times, no matter what it was. He was like, I don't know what's going on here. But something, I don't know if it was the way they did his makeup, the eyebrows. He was just like, something's going on here. I don't know what it is, but
maybe
something is amiss.
And here's the funny thing is, I know who he is, and it was still giving vibes of like he was her gay best friend.
Well, my favorite was when they walked in. It was like, yeah, she's definitely sleeping with him. Like, this is giving like soap opera, like Jersey Shore. Like,
I was getting more of a vibe of
Jerry.
I was getting more of a vibe of he wanted to sleep with her, but he was pretending to be her gay best friend to do it. And I will
that's also believable.
This joke is only for Eric, right? I'm so happy for you. That joke is for one person on planet Earth, and hopefully
he'll get it. He's got it.
Oh, he will get it. It was one of the best jokes he ever made on our podcast. I lost my shit.
Well, we gotta get through the fight. He's got a bunch of jokes. Yeah. I got a bunch of questions about the fight itself. So let's get there.
T'Pau lets McCoy inject Kirk with a compound to offset the effects of the Vulcan atmosphere. The fight concludes when Spock seemingly strangles Kirk. McCoy declares Kirk dead and requests transport to the Enterprise. Is Kirk dead? Will Spock ever get over it? We'll find out after a brief word from this sponsor.
We choose to go to the moon and participate and do the other things. Weird.
You know, someone said that frickin' Panera's Pepsi's taste funny.
Better.
No, I mean...
What?
And we're back. So you had questions about the fight.
I had questions,
comments, questions, concerns.
Comments, questions, queries. The weapons look stupid plastic. When he sliced open Kirk's chest, it was very funny because it did not look believable. I'm calling bull. Okay, we're gonna have to censor this one. I'm calling bullshit that Kirk can physically overpower Spock in any capacity.
They do kind of hint at the fact that Spock's capacity is diminished because of his. Do
they? Okay, then I totally
McCoy mentions it, but I mean, it's still laughable. It's still laughable.
And then the point where they put down the sharp weapons, and then they picked up silk ropes and started to try to strangle the Dragon Ball Z Bridge, choke the out of him. It just kind of seemed to facilitate the bit of him choking choking that he could have done with his bare hands.
It feels
is there a reason for the scarves?
It feels like those were more for the honeymoon, but hey, Vulcans be Vulcan.
Yeah. And then, I don't fully understand the whips. I'm sure somewhere someone has written dirty fan fiction about this scene.
Uh,
Um,
Funnily enough, I didn't have this in my notes, but I did read that this episode has inspired an entire genre of speculative erotic
I mean,
fantasy.
obviously there's a fan fiction where it ends with them doing it. Like it's just as I was watching it, I'm like, there's
No,
a
there's.
version of this where he plowed the fields and planted his seed in Kirk.
I was just gonna say, dude, there's a version of this where he and Kirk got together
Oh,
at the end of
absolutely.
it all.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
was like
Um,
even in the heat of even in the heat of his Pon Farr, Spock couldn't help but notice the rippling of Kirk's pectoral muscles. A feeling stirred
um,
inside his Vulcan mind that had never been there before, and somehow he knew would never leave.
is Kirk hot? No. Um, and when he choked out Kirk, this is a shout out to William Shatner. It looked like he like broke his neck and his neck went limp. Like I was like, oh, he actually went limp. Like he committed
Because
to that. Like
as we've said before, William Shatner can act, and that was not his stunt double that looks nothing like him.
no, no, yeah, he it looked like and shout outs to I'm gonna do a bunch of shout outs to Leonard Nimoy, but shout out to Leonard Nimoy. Like it's believable looking. Like it looked like he like full bore like it's like, oh, okay, whoa, okay. And there's a moment I'm like, obviously Kirk's gonna get away with this, but how? Like I was like, it looks like he got him. Like yeah, it was very believable.
Well, and this is another knock because I was thinking as I was watching, I was like, oh come on, nobody really thought that Kirk was going to die in the premiere of season two. However, in today's television, that's not such a strange idea because
No, there's times that like there's certain shows I watch where they've done that, like where the character makes it the good doctor did well, there was a character that was like that where he made it to the end of the season and then the season premiere happened and they got rid of him in the season premiere. Oh, it's the main. Have you watched The Good Doctor?
I've seen it. I'm not that far into it, but I know what show you're
Oh,
talking
it's
about.
the one of the main guys. Like, yeah, he makes it to they're doing a season long thing where it looks like he's gonna leave, and then at the end of it he decides to stay, and then immediately in the season premiere he leaves. He's in the beginning
Hmm.
of the episode, and then he's just gone. So yeah, by today's standards, that's not an unheard of thing for them to do that. But I mean, I don't know. Does that kind of cynicism exist in the 1960s where you're like, there's no way they're gonna kill off Captain Kirk?
I don't know. I wasn't alive then. But also television, we have to remember television was still relatively new. It
Exactly,
wasn't
yeah.
brand new, but I mean, we're talking about like what, maybe a decade or so, a decade and a half.
Like I'm like my cynicism today is like to use another example. It's like I'm watching Gilligan's Island, the core cast, none of them are gonna bite it. They're not gonna kill off Gilligan off of Gilligan's Island. But like today I'd be like, they might.
I mean, realistically, you could reboot Gilligan's Island as a horror series and just
Oh, they
slowly
totally should.
eliminate.
They totally
Give us
should.
money. Like, we'll
They
do it.
well, although I did say that, and then they made Bel Air, and Bel Air is genuinely terrible. So it's like
Fair. I've not seen it, but I'm so not interested.
it's genuinely awful. We have to get to the big twist, the big
Right.
twist.
So
I have
so
comments on the big twist.
So back to the story. Spock renounces his claim on T'Pring, who explains she feared losing Stan in the Caliphate. By choosing Kirk, T'Pring would have Stan either way. If Spock was the victor, he would release her from the marriage for having made the challenge, and if Kirk won, he would not want her. Spock compliments T'Pring on her logic and returns to the Enterprise, warning Stan.
After a time, you may find that having is not so pleasing a thing after all as wanting.
So I got before we get into your commentary on the well, we actually haven't gotten to the twist yet, but I'm just gonna say this. That line has always resonated really, really well with me, really strongly as a kid, because it is very often true. Like especially when you're
Yeah,
really young, like you when you know
it is.
you really, really want the thing, and then you get the thing, and like you're not sad that you got the thing, but it's just kind of like, eh. And it's a
I
sentiment that only really gets more true the more you have to buy your own stuff.
it's
And
it's true. Yeah, you're not wrong. My thing
eventually,
is like
when you
oftentimes it's like you're experiencing the thing. You're like, oh, I'm never gonna get to experience it for the first time again.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And sometimes you do find yourself where it's like, necessarily regret getting the thing, but I remember how happy I was thinking about having the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. I
know,
know. Yeah, yeah. That is. Yeah, yeah. I
although
definitely got what he was saying.
yeah, although now I read it much more as like Stan having a massive crush, but Spock warning him that T'Pring isn't worth the trouble.
Yeah, the only thing I had to say was, "Wow, she sucks."
Kind of. That's why I am intrigued because as much as I crap on and unfairly because I haven't watched it yet, I do crap on Strange New Worlds a lot because they retcon the past. I am interested in seeing more of a dynamic with Spock and T'Pring and making T'Pring more of a person, as it were.
I just see out of context clips from that show, and then I go, I need to know. Like, I've seen a few. Like why are they puppets? Why are they puppets? That was weird. And then I saw one where they're singing, and I'm like, I need to watch the show to know why Spock is singing. Why is Spock singing?
They stole the idea from Scrubs, but aboard the Enterprise, Spock announces his intent to submit himself for trial for killing Kirk. When he discovers Kirk is in fact alive and well, prompting a rare display of joy.
I like that moment. That was really
Yeah,
fun.
it's another and probably the most remembered Spock smile.
It's a solid one. Yeah, I was like the range of emotions he experiences all within like I would say like 30 seconds of being like, oh, he forgets he's Spock for a moment, and then he has to remember, oh, I'm Spock. Can't do this. And it's the fact that he called him Jim. I was like, oh yeah, it was just that arc of emotion that he goes through is so well performed by Leonard Nimoy.
A very, very good thing that Leonard Nimoy does, and you don't see it so much yet, but as these characters age, Spock referring to Captain Kirk as Jim is more and more common, particularly as they get much older. And because the relationship changes, especially once they retire, even though they come out of retirement. But that's a whole nother thing. Like Spock, how Spock interacts with James Kirk softens so much as time goes on, even because like even though Spock is a Vulcan, he very much lets the walls down with Kirk in particular.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to watch because Leonard Nimoy's a genius when it comes to this character.
Yeah,
Because
so subtle.
Spock grows as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, they all do. But Spock in particular, I think Spock gets the award for growing as a character more because he does. By the time you get to the Kelvin timeline, Spock has like embraced his human side. He's not like full blown like his brother. You can say what you will about his, how you feel about his brother, but his brother fully embraces emotion. Spock is still very much a Vulcan, but he understands that emotions have their place. And it's not so much not having emotions at all, it's being able to control them.
But regulating those emotions.
Regulation.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a great moment.
I'm always
it's good
pro-regulation.
You would be, you dirty socialist.
I'm pro-regulation. Yeah, such a filthy socialist. No,
that's a joke, everyone.
It's a joke.
It's an inside joke. He's a dirty socialist.
That's a joke.
Yeah, he's a dirty socialist. I'm a filthy capitalist pig.
See, I feel that's the way of the future, where we meld together, and it's a combination of the both.
Until you get the Ferengi, which, see, it's funny because you would think that I would be insulted by the Ferengi in concept, but I find them hilarious. Because it's a parody of capitalism. It's not really like it's capitalism taken to its most complete extreme, and it's played for laughs, and it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, most people, other than the insane, would say that total unfettered capitalism is bad. No one wants total unfettered capitalism. You want some control of it.
There's an entire episode of Deep Space Nine where the B plot is Rom, who is a Ferengi who works for his brother Quark. You all know Quark. The whole B plot of the episode is Rom contemplating, in starting a union.
Attention, please. Thank you all for coming. I know that in the past I've always defended my brother whenever he's taken a stance that's proven unpopular with the staff. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that today.
You're not?
No, I'm not. Quark's just using the cleansing ritual to increase his profits at our expense.
Yeah.
It isn't fair. And we're not going to take it.
Since when?
Since right now,
So what are we gonna do about it?
we're going to fight back in the only way we can. We're going to form a what? We're going to form a union.
That's funny.
And they say
That's
the
very
word union.
funny.
They say the word union, and it's like a swear word to the Ferengi. It's a very funny episode.
Oh, speaking of union, when she said divorce, like, oh, I wanted to divorce you. I was like, oh, I was surprised to hear her say that.
Yeah, except you haven't been married yet.
I think you guys don't understand what divorce is.
You're carting before horsing here.
Yeah, you're not quite there yet. You're divorcing before you're horsing.
Technically, it would be an annulment, but again, there was no. So you broke up. You broke up.
You broke up. You broke up from a relationship you never really had.
But does Spock have to return the goats?
No, he keeps the goats.
That's what I'm saying. She broke up with him. That's not.
Yeah, no, he keeps the goats. That's how this works.
Excellent.
Also, like, he tries to protest and say that emotion was too real. That smile was too genuine. He was genuinely excited to see that Kirk was still alive.
Well,
I mean, he did crush his larynx with his own bare hands. I mean, that does change a man.
A field needs to be plowed, after all. And I happen to know of a vacant science lab.
Oh my! I said, yeah. Chekov, and I'm just hoping in season 2 every episode has a little bit where it's Chekov and Sulu at the console just reacting to what's happening in the episode.
Unfortunately,
like, I just like to picture that.
There are some really fun interactions between Kirk and Chekov.
See,
we have some awesome episodes coming up in season 2. Like, it's my favorite.
If this were made today, they would just get Sulu and Chekov. They would just do B-roll of just them on the console, just improving.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Especially if this was the Orville. Well, look, you'd have Malloy and John. What's his name? John. Gordon Malloy and John. Lamar.
Yeah, John. Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's kind of who they are.
Star mapping has got to be the most boring damn job there is. I'd rather have brunch with my parents.
I'd rather have brunch with my parents and their parents.
I'd rather have brunch with my parents and their really good friends who they haven't seen in a while, who just got back from a vacation in Florida and took lots of pictures while visiting their daughter, who just had a brand new baby.
That just made me want to kill myself.
I'm definitely starting to see more of what people know Star Trek to be kind of form out in season 2. It definitely feels more like it's finding its form.
Very much so. It turns out the injection McCoy gave Kirk was a neuroparalyzer. Asked about what followed, Spock states that he lost all desire for T'Pring after he thought he killed Kirk. So this is Spock's post-Pon Farr clarity?
I mean, hey, I too lose all sexual interest when I think I've strangled my best friend to death. I mean, it's a very common occurrence.
It's one of those
things. It happens to all guys.
Well, not all guys, but you would hope it would. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I've not seen too much of Dexter, but I have a feeling. Luke learns that Starfleet, at T'Pau's request, has belatedly given the Enterprise permission to travel to Vulcan.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, I get why they bookended the episode with that. It's just kind of funny because it's like, of course they did. Well, at least we won't get in trouble now.
At least we won't get in trouble.
This is one of Leonard Nimoy's favorite episodes, and many fans share that sentiment. In fact, at the 50th anniversary Star Trek convention in Las Vegas in 2016, fans voted this to be the 4th best episode in the Star Trek franchise.
It's pretty solid.
It's a solid
I do kind of wish Spock were a little bit more horned up.
When they do Pon Farr now, it will be.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know. I want him to like flirt a little bit with Chapel. It just felt like they couldn't. If I were to be, you know how much I hate being critical of a show from the 1960s. But if I were to be critical, I would say that the him being all, there wasn't enough, like, his personality. They didn't do enough to differentiate it or distinguish it from his regular personality. Like, I don't know. They didn't. didn't seem to have a really firm grasp or idea on how exactly it affected him mentally.
Well, because the way he portrays it, it feels more like the rut rather than like being in heat, even though Pon
Yeah,
Farr is basically described as like a drive to mate. But it
because he
does
like
feel more like he wants to fight rather than, you know.
yeah, yeah. It's like because it's like yeah, when he changes the course to go to Vulcan and he's like, I don't remember doing that. That I don't know but then they're like, oh no, it's just pure aggression. I guess maybe the Futurama episode seems to kind of represent it more, where it's like, no, part of him wanting to mate is it makes him feel aggressive, maybe, but he doesn't come across as more aggressive. He's just like comes across like he's repressing something. So it doesn't seem to be all that. It's like they started from a conclusion of, oh, it's Spock wants to mate, and then they didn't really think it out beyond that.
I just have a drive to mate.
Oh, you go into the water and they lay eggs and die.
Yeah. Did you notice that Spock's parents were not at the wedding ceremony?
No, I did not notice that. Now that you
Not
point that
there.
out, that does seem bad.
Now, probably because Spock's father is an ambassador, so he was likely off planet. But we will meet
Maybe.
Spock's father this season.
So, like, do all Vulcans get like betrothed that way, and then they hit a certain age, and they're like, "Well, here's your options. You can either have two guys fight to the death over you, or you could just get married regularly." So then maybe when it's the fight to the death, the parents don't show up because they don't want to see a murder. Maybe that's part of the tradition.
Maybe that could be it.
Because
Could
they're
be
like,
it.
"Well, I don't want to have to see my son die," and look,
This is
you're excused.
it is sort of, maybe I'm inferring it, but it is, to me it seemed a little implied that the challenge is rare.
Also, isn't his mom dead?
No, that's in the Kelvin timeline.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Winona
Because
Ryder.
he got the human mother, right?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yes. So Winona Ryder is dead, but it,
Wait,
main
Winona
timeline.
Ryder is his mom? Is
Yeah.
Spock's mom?
Yeah.
Like Stranger Things.
In the Kelvin
Was
timeline,
it?
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
The Calvin timeline being the J.J. Abrams movie.
Correct.
When did we see Winona Ryder as Spock's mom?
Only in the first one because she dies when Vulcan gets.
Why don't I remember that?
Probably
Oh my
because you
God.
don't really
I've seen
see
that
her
movie.
full face. She's always wearing some kind of like headscarf thing.
Oh, okay.
It's totally her
Because
though.
I've seen that movie multiple times and I know who Winona Ryder is.
It's
How
totally
did I
her though.
not know that?
It's
That's so
to be
funny.
fair, it's a little bit more subdued performance than say like the Crucible, but which
Is it one of those things where it's just like J.J. Abrams gets one of his famous friends to do a random cameo
I would
kind of deal?
imagine. I would
Oh,
imagine, but
okay.
also, I mean, Star Trek. Who's gonna?
Like
There were
Simon
people.
Pegg being in The Force Awakens randomly?
Yeah, but he was awesome as Scotty. He nailed it.
No, yeah, I meant the one
Yeah,
Winona Ryder being yeah, he's the
yeah,
random suit guy in that movie.
yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I just like to do thing. See, folks, I don't know shit about Star Trek, and this is where I learn.
So, any final thoughts on Amok Time or Pon
I'm not gonna.
Farr or?
I really quite enjoyed this, and this was an excellent like start. I got 8 pages of notes, and I was like, okay, no, I haven't lost my touch. I haven't. It's been a while. I was worried I had lost it. I did not lose it.
No, it came back very, very fast. Well, join us next week. And as always, if you have not already, if you just discovered the show, please subscribe, like, and share.
Yes.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies too. Subscribe to Paramount Plus, but
Feel
use
free
our
to leave
link.
those essay long comments. I love
I
reading them.
actually enjoy them. I learned some stuff, and I will say the vast majority of our comments are good, and the ones that are super rude and we just ignore you, or we
Hey,
give
I
you
will
some sass
say
back.
you're all a heck of a lot cooler than those Star Wars fans. To those of you who listen, I did 2 thumbs up unenthusiastically.
As William Wallace said in Braveheart.
I'm going to pick a fight.
But to be fair,
I don't
Star
pick
Wars
it,
Star
per
Wars fans
se.
aren't watching this because they're too busy arguing over whose lightsaber is bigger.
It's
When it
true.
doesn't matter because the Enterprise would vaporize all of you. But
Also true.
I digress. Join us next week when we go through the episode Who mourns Adonis? And Justin, as per our tradition, would you like to take a stab at what happens in the episode Who Mourns Adonis?
Well, let's see here. Okay, so I think that the Enterprises, they're going to wind up on an alien planet that is styled similarly to Greece, and there's going to be a lovely young woman whose husband, named Adonis, has mysteriously died, and Kirk is going to investigate this, and he's also going to bang the wife.
You're not far off. You're not exactly there, but you're
Really?
close. You're close. Some of the details are a little off, but you're pretty close. I'm going to give that one to you. You're fairly close.
Really? That was
Yeah.
that was a wide. I was swinging for the fences there. I
Well,
ran
I mean,
with the
with
Adonis name.
a title like that, I mean,
Someone's cheating on someone with someone. That's what I feel is probably going to happen.
you're very close. Well, join us next week. As always, new episodes go up on Mondays.
Monday. It was Monday at 5.
It was Monday at 5. Your 5, my
Right, my 5.
8 o'clock. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock. But you'll get, if you subscribe and hit that bell notification, you'll just be told when a new episode comes up, and check out some of our old ones. The way we envision the show actually is we want you to watch the episode of Star Trek and then watch our commentary on it, so you can be like, oh yeah, or I guess you can watch our commentary first so you know what to look for. But regardless, we're just having fun with Star Trek. But watch long and prosper, and we will see you guys next week. Somebody call HR on Scotty immediately. Like, there are so many red flags happening in this scene, and McCoy's not much better.
When they started talking about what the gods maybe being aliens, my first thought was aliens.
No. The morality of ancient Greek society is not something that you would want today.